I grew up knowing that like the spirits are still around us, right? People still live on these lands, or ancestral spirits still live on these lands, and so to go into a jungle, but also to disturb these kinds of things is kind of like there's still people there, and so you have to be respectful about it. And I mean, unfortunately, when burials are found, it's not very often that they get to stay in place because of the construction and the activity that's going on there. The very first big dig that I did, where we were actually working with burial, I kind of stopped and I thought to myself, like I know, as a Chamorro person, and just as a person in general, that like if you're doing these things, you have to be respectful about it, because I mean, you don't want to get hurt or sick or whatever, but also it's just kind of like bringing some type of dignity and respect to the people that are there. And so what I ended up doing was kind of just like, and what I still do now, is give offerings. So anytime that I'm working on a burial, I take some time and I go and I make an offering, and so I go up and I give. I find a place in the area that we're digging to place Puga or Mama'un. Tuman is where burials have been found, and the good thing too, like about this area, is that you're able to get a good representation, because you're finding not just Laddie period, which is oftentimes what we end up finding because it is younger and so it's more preserved. You're finding a whole range of things. There has been so much stuff that has come out of the ground, and because there's been extensive work that's been done just within this strip alone, they've been able to collect and study just a great number of things, from human remains to jewelry to just things within the material culture. And for an area that isn't so big, if you really think about it, just the amount of different stuff that has come out, because the archaeological record has been so rich. And because we have all that variation, you're able to see so many different things, and it's not just like variation in different types of material, but variation in like you're seeing pre-Laddie to Laddie to just different layers of settlement happening in these areas. I mean, ancestral remains. You have shell tools, stone tools, pottery, shell artifacts. I mean, anything from like jewelry to things that you would put your afuk in. I mean, there's still so much that has been found because of colonization, because Guam has such a long colonization period. I mean, there have been so many changes that have happened, and a lot of things have been lost. And the good thing to me about archaeology is that we're searching for these things, and so you're adding to the record, but you're also taking those things and trying to analyze how people were living, and I mean, sadly, also trying to prove that people were living here. And that's one of the things that, I mean, it bothers me as a Chamorro, because it's like the idea that we have to prove that we have been here and that we're still here. It's just, it's ridiculous. But that's one of the things that the archaeology helps us to do, because I mean, people were all over these places. You're finding things that people were just like, no, there's no way that they could have lived there. How could they have possibly lived there? Where's the water source? Where are they getting their food? But I mean, people knew how to live in these areas. I mean, a lot of people assume that, like, Chamorro history basically stops and ends when it ends when the Spanish came in. And so, like, if you look at a lot of the writings that have happened in Micronesia in general, I mean, they don't talk a lot about the population that exists now, because it's kind of like, oh, well, the Spanish came here, and so they've been mixed for however many years, and so they don't count anymore. And so they're not even really Chamorro. They're not, and it's kind of sad. It didn't end with the Spanish. And I mean, even in the Spanish period, people were still thriving, and there are things that were still being passed down, language and culture-wise. Cultures are not stagnant. They're dynamic, and they're constantly changing. I mean, if you think about just that alone, it's like the purity. I mean, the very first change was people getting on that canoe and coming out here. And so when they came out here, they weren't Chamorro. But like over time, they became what we think of as Chamorro. And so it's constantly changing, and it's constantly adapting, and it's constantly growing. And we can't, we can't forget that.